routine weekly briefing for the period covering today, Thursday, May 2nd through next Wednesday, May 8th. I'm meteorologist Nick Lucchetti here at the Raleigh office, and I'll be taking you through these slides. All right. So we'll just take a quick look at the upcoming weather pattern for Central North Carolina this week. And you can see today in the upper left corner here, we're still situated under high pressure, which will create quite dry conditions today, and a continuing hot theme, so it should be pretty hot today as well. As we progress into tomorrow, this high will shift offshore, as you can see here, and so we'll continue to be pretty dry tomorrow and hot again. But the next system that's upstream here, you can see this frontal boundary starting to enter the Tennessee Valley on Friday being depicted here. Some of the weather associated with that might trickle into the western Piedmont late in the day Friday, so we could see some showers in our western areas late Friday into Friday night. But overall, Friday should be pretty dry and hot. And I'll touch a little bit more on these temperatures here on the next slide. Then as we progress into the weekend, so Saturday, Sunday, and into early next week, this system will continue to progress eastward. I don't think it's going to clear through the area, so it looks like it's kind of fizzle out as it gets into the mountains and maybe into our western zones. But with that, you can see that we're highlighted with chances of rain each day. So I'm not looking at like area-wide washout or anything like that, but we'll probably see a continuation of a few showers and perhaps a couple storms each day as we progress into early next week. And again, the temps will continue to remain above normal through this period. So speaking of the temperatures, it will be unseasonably hot today and tomorrow. So to highlight that, I have this regional temperature forecast, just a line graph here showing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and just the diurnal temperature range and temperatures here each of these days. Just to note that this plot is spatially averaged over all of Central North Carolina, so you can see averaged over the entire area. We have a forecast going upwards of close to 90 today. So I do believe we'll see some isolated locations hit 90 degrees today, and elsewhere should be up into the upper 80s. And then again on Friday, we'll see temperatures peak around the mid to upper 80s as well. But as we progress into the weekend period, we'll start to see some cloud cover from that upstream system, some showers, maybe a couple thunderstorms. And with that, we'll tend to cool off a little bit here. We'll still be above normal, but should be a little bit cooler. So today into tomorrow, got the dry and hot weather, and then it should cool off a little bit this weekend, but the chances for rain should be a little bit higher compared to Thursday and Friday. So kind of switching gears here back to precipitation, we have the latest North Carolina drought update courtesy of our friends at the North Carolina State Climate Office. And you can compare this week's plot to last week's status. You can see that they've extended D0 or abnormally dry conditions into the western Piedmont over here, and then up into the foothills, added a little bit of the southern, southwestern parts of our mountainous areas here as well, and extended down into some of the southern Piedmont as well here. So we've been dry. April was considerably dry, continues to be dry here the first couple days of May. So perhaps with a little bit of rain coming here, maybe that'll help alleviate this somewhat. But we're starting, obviously, across the area, we're seeing impacts on, agriculture and other entities that depend on drought conditions. So speaking of how much rain will we see, and see if we'll see any alleviation of those dry conditions, you can see here's the accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 5 days. So for today, we got dry conditions again. Tomorrow, dry conditions, maybe some rain over the mountains and foothills areas, perhaps trickling a little bit into the western Piedmont. Overall, this should be pretty dry tomorrow. Then as we get into the Saturday time period, it looks like that perhaps could be our wettest day. particularly it's highlighting the foothills and the mountains, perhaps seeing a little over an inch of rain, and perhaps some of that could trickle into our western Piedmont. However, I don't suspect that we'll see a large swath of upwards of an inch of rain over that entire area like it's being depicted here. I think that we'll see pretty scattered to isolated showers in this area, and perhaps some areas might get a heavy downpour that maybe rains an inch, and then other areas don't get it. So we're kind of getting into that more isolated season as we get into the summer season here. Not yet, but entirely. But I don't suspect we'll see a large swath from Charlotte to Greensboro of half an inch to 3/4 of an inch. I think it'll be a little bit more splotchy, and some location might get lucky and get an inch of rain. But as we progress then into Sunday into the early next week, you can see that it's pretty low QPF amounts are being depicted here. And that's really just kind of trying to highlight, hey, there's going to be some scattered showers and maybe a couple thunderstorms, but we're not having like a synoptic mid-latitude cyclone coming through and dumping a large swath of a ton of rain or anything like that. So should be pretty light amounts in general, except for outside of the occasional heavier shower or storm in an isolated location. So we look at the 5-day accumulated amounts here. You can see again anywhere from maybe a half inch to 3/4 of an inch across the Piedmont, maybe a little bit more as you get into the western Piedmont, into the foothills, and hopefully maybe perhaps that could help alleviate some of the abnormally dry conditions in those areas. Oops. Speaking of thunderstorms, I mentioned there could be a couple isolated thunderstorms. Here's the outlook for the next 8 days from the Storm Prediction Center. And you can see that we are outlined in what's called general thunder, this light shade of green on Friday, as well as the far western Piedmont on Saturday. So overall, that basically means, hey, there could be some lightning, there could be some thunderstorms, but we're not expecting any of those to become severe. So overall, not expecting any severe weather, although there could be a couple isolated, thunderstorms, which could create maybe a heavy downpour briefly or whatnot. We also like to show these weather prediction excessive rainfall outlooks, and you can see that on the right panel there on Saturday, they do have areas of the triad, mostly the triad, outlined in a marginal risk for excessive rainfall, which could lead to perhaps some flash flooding. I think it's probably a little overdone, to be honest with you. I think that areas, as you can see, if you remember on the QPF plots, it was more so the mountains and foothills that have a better chance for maybe some heavier rain rates. Perhaps that could trickle into our western Piedmont, and perhaps that's what they're trying to highlight here. But overall, given the abnormally dry conditions, I don't suspect that we'll see too much in terms of flash flooding. However, never roll out particularly urban areas if you perhaps get some training of cells over the same location, or some heavier rain rates. So we just want to highlight that there is a marginal risk across the triad for Saturday. Pivoting now to more looking at long-term or beyond the long-term outlooks. We always like to show these plots. So this is courtesy of the Climate Prediction Center. So on the left here, we have the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, and this is for the period of May 9th to the 15th. And then the precipitation outlook is on the right, same time period. So we focus on the left panel here, the temperature outlook. It looks like the Climate Prediction Center is fairly confident, upwards of 60 to 80% confident that we'll see, or a probability that we'll see above normal temperatures in this time frame. And the normal temperatures for our 3 climate sites are listed below. So we could be well into the 80s during this time period based on this temperature outlook. And if we pivot over to the precipitation outlook, it actually looks like there's kind of less confidence in whether we'll be above or below normal from a precipitation standpoint. They do highlight a light shade of green of 33 to 40% above normal, but that's kind of more near normal, to be honest with you. And they're probably just highlighting diurnal, showers or thunderstorms kind of thing. So overall, there's no signal in the long term for any kind of, again, synoptic mid-latitude cyclone or tropical cyclone or anything like that that would potentially dump a ton of rain over our area. So I always like to show these this experimental graphical hazard weather outlook because it's just a quick snapshot of potential hazards over the next several days, and you can see that it's highlighting a limited chance for lightning pretty much every day from Friday through Wednesday. So I think overall we could see a couple thunderstorms, but none of them should be severe. So, but there could be obviously a thunderstorm requires lightning, so there could be some lightning associated with some of the rain that could occur over the next several days. And then it's also highlighting the excessive rainfall. Again, this is averaged over the entire area, so it's just really picking up what we saw in the triad in the previous slide. But again, I think that's pretty low chance. And then also you can see long term, looking at Wednesday, it does start to highlight perhaps a limited chance for excessive heat. And that kind of makes sense based on the Climate Prediction Center's probability outlook for above normal temperatures is pretty high. So just something to kind of look out, and we'll continue to monitor as we progress into that time period. So just a quick summary. Again, dry and hot weather is expected today through much of Friday. We'll likely see a couple sites reach 90 degrees today, maybe a little bit cooler on Friday, but still upper 80s. As we progress into the weekend, into early next week, that cold front to our west will start to enter into the Appalachians. We'll start to see some effects from that, and perhaps see some scattered showers and maybe a isolated storm or two through early next week each day. And then we'll continue to see temps above normal through this period. As far as hazards and impacts, again, there's a marginal risk for excessive rainfall on Saturday in the Triad area. And then also just want to continue to highlight that temperatures will be unseasonably hot. So make sure to hydrate and stay out of the sun if you can. And with that, I want to thank you all for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. So I have a question here from Alfred about what do you think about the timing of the rain for Fayetteville on Saturday? I would say it looks like Friday night into Saturday, we could have, particularly across the west, there could be showers Saturday morning, lingering around, and how far east that trends. It's kind of hard to tell right now at this time range. But I would suspect that we'll start to see a blossoming of scattered showers and maybe a few storms as we get into the late morning, early afternoon period. So this isn't just like a afternoon, evening time frame, summertime pop-up thunderstorm kind of thing. I think we will have some lingering showers Friday night into Saturday morning that could start to reach Fayetteville by like mid to late morning. Yeah, no problem. All right. I'm not seeing any more questions, so I want to thank you all attending, and we'll have a good weekend, and we'll catch you next Monday. Take care, everyone.